Have you ever looked at the night sky and felt as though the moon was watching you? Not just as a glowing sphere of rock, but as a living presence, a silent witness to your secrets, your dreams, and your deepest emotions. For thousands of years, countless civilizations bowed their heads not only in awe of the moon's beauty, but in reverence to its divinity. Why? What did they see in that silver disk that made them equate it with the gods themselves? The moon has no light of its own, yet it illuminates the darkness. It wanes and vanishes, only to be reborn again, mirroring the cycle of death and resurrection. It governs the tides of the ocean, and by extension, the hidden tides of our inner world. To the ancients, these were not coincidences, they were signs, cosmic messages encoded into the very rhythms of the sky. In this video, we will uncover why the moon was worshipped as divine. We will journey through the ancient temples of Sumer and Egypt, listen to the myths of Greece and India, and decode the secret teachings of mystics who saw in the moon a reflection of the human soul. Beyond myth, we will also explore the profound esoteric meaning of lunar symbolism, what the moon teaches us about transformation, hidden power, and the eternal dance between light and shadow. And most importantly, you will discover how these ancient truths can still be applied in your life today, because the moon was never just a distant object. It was, and still is, a mirror of consciousness, whispering ancient lessons to anyone willing to listen. Are you ready to uncover why humanity once saw the moon not as a rock, but as a goddess, a teacher, and a divine mystery? To understand why the moon was worshipped as divine, we must first step back into the forgotten corridors of ancient history, when human beings did not separate the physical world from the spiritual one. The sky was not a backdrop. It was a living scripture written in light and shadow. Every movement of the heavens was read as a message from the gods. And among the celestial bodies, the moon stood out as the most intimate and mysterious. In ancient Sumer, one of the earliest civilizations, the moon was personified as the god Nana, later called Sin. He was regarded as a wise overseer, keeping track of time with his waxing and waning phases. To the Sumerians, the moon was not only divine, it was a cosmic calendar that measured the rhythms of life, from the planting of crops to sacred festivals. Every appearance and disappearance of its crescent was seen as a divine sign, marking humanity's destiny. The Egyptians, too, recognized the moon's sacred power. They associated it with Thoth, the god of wisdom, magic, and writing. Thoth was said to balance the scales of truth and record the fate of souls in the afterlife. The lunar glow, ever-changing yet eternal, mirrored the wisdom of cycles, birth, death, and rebirth. To follow the moon was to follow the path of divine order. In Greece, the moon took on a feminine form, Selene, the radiant goddess who drove her silver chariot across the night sky, later merging into Artemis, the virgin huntress. The Greeks saw the moon as a protector of women, fertility, and childbirth, aligning lunar cycles with the menstrual rhythm. Here, the divine moon became a sacred mother, nurturing yet mysterious, tender yet powerful. India's Vedic tradition offered yet another layer of meaning. The moon, known as Chandra, was associated with emotion, mind, and nourishment. It was said to rule over the heart and psyche, influencing moods and desires. In Vedic astrology, the moon is not merely a planet, it is the very mirror of consciousness, reflecting our inner world. Its waxing and waning symbolize the shifting states of the mind, sometimes clear and radiant, other times clouded and dim. Even beyond organized civilization, indigenous cultures across the globe revered the moon. For the Mayans, its cycles were deeply tied to agricultural rites and spiritual ceremonies.
For Native American tribes, the moon was a guardian spirit, each month carrying a name and meaning: the wolf moon, the harvest moon, the snow moon. Why such universal reverence? Because the moon was more than a celestial object. It was present. Unlike the distant stars, it moved swiftly, visibly, and predictably. It lit the night when the sun was gone. It disappeared only to return, as if enacting the great mystery of death and resurrection for all to witness. The ancients saw in it a reflection of the deepest truths: impermanence, renewal, the hidden power of cycles. Philosophically, the moon became the symbol of the subconscious, the hidden half of reality. Just as it reflects the sun's light, the soul was seen as reflecting the divine spark of spirit. Mystics taught that by studying the moon, one could study oneself, one's rhythms, desires, and hidden transformations. Thus, across every culture and tradition, the moon was not just observed, it was revered, feared, loved, and worshipped. A silent silver teacher, it became the divine mirror in the heavens.
If the sun was seen as the blazing father, radiant, sovereign, and outward, the moon was revered as the mystical mother, inward, receptive, and cloaked in mystery. The ancients did not worship the moon merely for its beauty, but because they recognized in its nature the very blueprint of life, consciousness, and spiritual transformation. Let us begin with its most obvious mystery: the cycle of phases. Every month, the moon vanishes into darkness, then reappears as a thin crescent, slowly swelling into fullness before fading once again. This rhythm was seen as the cosmic dramatization of the eternal cycle: birth, growth, decay, and death, followed by rebirth. To the human mind, confronted with mortality, this cycle was not simply astronomy, it was revelation. The moon proved that endings were never final. Just as the crescent returns after the void, so too does the soul return after death. This is why the moon became so deeply tied to myths of resurrection, reincarnation, and the immortality of the spirit. Consider the new moon. To the esoteric traditions, it symbolized potential, the seed hidden in darkness, the womb before birth. It is a time of beginnings, but hidden ones, unseen and gestating. The waxing moon represented growth, manifestation, and the building of power. The full moon, shining in all its glory, symbolized the peak of energy, revelation, and the soul's highest illumination. And then came the waning moon, a time of release, surrender, and preparation for transformation. In this single cycle, the ancients saw the essence of all existence. But the moon did more than mirror human life. It shaped it. Its gravitational pull on Earth controls the tides of the ocean, the great waters that cover most of our planet. To ancient minds, this was nothing short of divine proof. The moon, though distant, held power over Earth's lifeblood. And because the human body is made mostly of water, it was believed that the moon also influenced our inner tides, our emotions, our dreams, even our fertility. Indeed, the menstrual cycle of women aligns almost perfectly with the moon's 29.5-day rhythm. How could this be coincidence? To early cultures, it was not. It was sacred synchronization. This is why the moon became associated with the feminine principle. Where the sun symbolized logic, clarity, and action, the moon symbolized intuition, mystery, and reflection. It was linked to the subconscious mind, the hidden reservoir of dreams, instincts, and unspoken truths. Just as the moon reflects the sun's light, so too does the subconscious reflect the impulses of the soul.
The ancients understood this duality and encoded it in their myths. In alchemy and esoteric philosophy, the moon was often paired with silver, the metal of reflection, fluidity, and purification. Unlike gold, which shines by its own radiance, like the sun, silver shines by reflecting light. In this symbolism lies a profound truth. We too are not sources of light in ourselves, but mirrors of the divine. The moon taught humanity the art of humility, that true illumination is not found in egoic power, but in becoming a vessel for higher light. The moon also embodies the power of illusion and hidden truth. It does not shine by its own power, and yet it appears radiant in the sky. Mystics saw in this a teaching about the nature of reality. Much of what we perceive as real is in fact a reflection. The physical world, shimmering with appearances, is like the moon, beautiful, yes, but not self-sustaining. Beyond it lies the true source, the sun of the spirit, which we must learn to seek. Thus the moon became a guide for the initiate, teaching the difference between reflection and reality, shadow and substance. In mythology, this duality often expressed itself in the moon's connection to both life and death. On one hand, it was a protector of fertility, harvests, and childbirth. On the other, it was the ruler of the night, the realm of spirits and shadows. The moon was both nurturing mother and ghostly reaper. This paradox made it sacred because the ancients knew that divinity was never one-sided. To worship the moon was to accept the wholeness of existence, creation and destruction, joy and sorrow, light and darkness. Another profound reason for lunar worship lies in the moon's constancy and visibility. Unlike the distant sun, which blinds the eye, the moon reveals itself gently, night after night, shifting but ever present. For ancient humans, without artificial light, it was the moon that guided their nights, illuminated their rituals, and protected their journeys. It became a celestial companion, close enough to feel personal, mysterious enough to feel divine. Philosophically, the moon also represents time itself. Long before mechanical clocks, the moon's cycles provided the first calendar, structuring agriculture, festivals, and sacred rites. Every culture that observed it discovered the deep truth. Time is cyclical, not linear. This realization shaped their spirituality. To live by the moon was to live in harmony with cycles, of seasons, of breath, of life and death. Modern society, obsessed with linear progress, has largely forgotten this wisdom, yet the moon still whispers it every month. Lastly, the moon became the symbol of initiation in the mysteries. Just as one cannot look directly at the blazing sun without blindness, so too is divine truth too overwhelming for the unprepared soul. But the moon, reflecting the sun's light, acts as the gentle teacher, preparing the initiate to handle greater truths. In Hermetic and mystical traditions, the moon is the gateway, the first step in transcending the material world toward the eternal. Thus, in its cycles, its influence, and its symbolism, the moon revealed truths that were too profound to ignore. It was worshipped because it was not just a light in the sky. It was the living mirror of the cosmos, the bridge between the visible and the invisible, the teacher of cycles and the guardian of mysteries.
We have seen how the moon symbolizes cycles, femininity, reflection, and hidden truths, yet its mysteries do not end there. To the ancients and mystics, the moon was more than a celestial object. It was a living archetype, one that encoded profound lessons about the human soul and the cosmos itself.
To grasp why the moon was worshipped as divine, we must dive even deeper into its paradoxes, contradictions, and esoteric meanings. The moon as the bridge between worlds. The moon hangs between Earth and the heavens, neither as distant as the stars nor as blinding as the sun. It is the mediator. In esoteric philosophy, this made the moon the bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. Many traditions believed that the souls of the dead traveled to or through the moon before reaching higher planes. Plato described the moon as the receptacle of souls, where spirits paused between incarnations. Mystics taught that just as the moon reflects light downward, it also reflects the prayers of humanity upward, serving as a cosmic mirror of exchange. This is why so many lunar temples were also places of divination and prophecy. Priests and priestesses believed that the moon's phases revealed hidden truths. Its waxing hinted at growth and possibility, while its waning warned of decline. To commune with the moon was to glimpse beyond the veil into the patterns of destiny. The moon and the shadow self. Yet the moon was not only light. Its surface is scarred with shadows, visible even to the naked eye. To esoteric traditions, this dual face reflected the human condition. We too are beings of both light and darkness. The worship of the moon was not simply adoration, it was confrontation. The moon teaches us that wholeness requires embracing both radiance and darkness. In Jungian terms, it symbolizes the shadow self, the hidden aspects of our psyche we often deny. Just as the full moon reveals itself only by balancing shadow and light, so too does the soul achieve illumination only by integrating what it fears, represses, or rejects. Thus, lunar rituals often involve night vigils, dreams, and shadow work, inviting initiates to confront their inner depths under the moon's silver gaze. The moon and madness. The moon's pull was also believed to extend to the mind. Even the word lunacy comes from luna, the moon, reflecting the age-old belief that lunar phases influence human psychology. Farmers swore that seeds planted under certain phases would grow stronger. Healers believed that bleeding or illness worsened during a full moon. And mystics observed that emotions intensified with the waxing moon, often climaxing at the full. But rather than dismiss this as superstition, the ancients saw it as sacred proof. The moon's divinity was not abstract, but immediate, affecting not only oceans but also the tides of human emotion. To worship the moon was to acknowledge our interconnectedness with the cosmos, to admit that we are not separate from nature's rhythms, but bound to them. The feminine mysteries. Perhaps the most enduring aspect of lunar worship is its connection to the feminine principle. While the sun was often associated with kings, warriors, and authority, the moon was linked with priestesses, healers, and mothers. In cultures across the world, women were seen as lunar beings, their cycles aligned with the moon's. This made them keepers of hidden knowledge, guardians of fertility, and channels of divine mystery. Even in patriarchal cultures, the moon offered a quiet reminder. Without the feminine, creation itself could not exist. The moon as the teacher of impermanence. Another profound lesson encoded in the moon's cycles is the truth of impermanence. The full moon is beautiful, but it does not last. Its light begins to fade, reminding us that every peak is followed by decline. Yet in this decline lies preparation for renewal. The ancients revered this truth because it mirrored the human journey. Youth blossoms, age arrives, life fades, and yet, like the moon, the soul is reborn. To worship the moon was to internalize this wisdom, to learn not to cling to permanence, but to embrace flow. The moon was not just divine because of its power, but because it taught acceptance of change. The moon and the alchemical marriage. In esoteric traditions, the moon was never worshipped alone, but in relation to the sun. They were seen as cosmic lovers, eternal opposites locked in sacred union. The sun represented the masculine, spirit, action, clarity. The moon represented the feminine, soul, receptivity, mystery. Together, they formed the alchemical marriage, the union of opposites that produces wholeness. The moon's worship was therefore also about balance. Just as night and day complete each other, so too must the human being balance reason with intuition, strength with softness, outer ambition with inner reflection. Without the moon, the sun's fire would be untempered, destructive. Without the sun, the moon would have no light to share. To honor the moon was to honor harmony. And finally, the moon was revered because it was the first initiation. The ancients knew that divine truth could not be approached directly. It would blind the unprepared, just as staring at the sun blinds the eye. But the moon, reflecting the sun's light, made truth approachable. It was the gentle teacher, guiding the initiate through cycles, dreams, and shadows until they were ready for the greater mysteries of the spirit. This is why in many mystery schools, initiates first underwent lunar rites before progressing to solar illumination. The moon was the gateway, the divine threshold. To commune with the moon was to begin the journey of awakening. In all of these layers, we begin to see why the moon was universally revered. It was not superstition or ignorance. It was recognition. Recognition that the moon is a cosmic mirror, reflecting our cycles, our psyche, our impermanence, our hidden depths. Recognition that it mediates between earth and heaven, feminine and masculine, shadow and light. Recognition that it teaches us, night after night, what it means to be human in a universe that is both mysterious and divine. The moon was worshipped not because it demanded worship, but because it embodied truths that the human spirit could not ignore. It was divine because it revealed divinity in the cosmos, in nature, and within ourselves.
The mysteries of the moon are not locked away in dusty temples or ancient myths. They are alive, available to anyone who dares to look up at the night sky with reverence. The ancients worshipped the moon not only because of what it symbolized, but because they lived in harmony with its rhythms. Today, in an age of artificial light and mechanical clocks, we have forgotten this connection. Yet by realigning ourselves with the moon's cycles, we can awaken a deeper awareness, strengthen our intuition, and find guidance in the ebb and flow of our own lives. 1. Living by lunar cycles. One of the simplest yet most profound practices is to synchronize your actions with the phases of the moon. This is not superstition, but alignment with natural rhythm. New moon, beginnings. This is the time of planting seeds, literally and metaphorically. Set intentions, start new projects, or meditate on what you wish to manifest. The darkness of the sky mirrors the fertile void, where unseen possibilities gestate. Waxing moon, growth. As the light expands, focus on building, creating, and taking action. Use this time to nurture your intentions and make steady progress. Full moon, illumination. The moon at its peak symbolizes clarity and revelation. Perform rituals of gratitude, reflection, or celebration. This is also a powerful time for meditation, as emotions and intuition are heightened. Waning moon, release. As the light decreases, shift toward letting go. Old habits, toxic relationships, unnecessary burdens. Engage in cleansing practices, such as journaling, fasting, or decluttering your space. By following these phases, you weave your life into the cosmic rhythm. Instead of forcing your will against the current, you learn to flow with the tides of energy.
2. Lunar journaling. Keep a lunar journal to record your moods, dreams, and insights each night. Over time, you may notice patterns, certain emotions intensifying during a waxing moon or vivid dreams during a full moon. This practice helps you attune to your subconscious and reveals how the moon interacts with your personal psyche. Ancient priestesses recorded such cycles not only for divination, but for self-understanding. You can do the same, discovering the hidden tides that shape your inner world. 3. Dream work and the moon. The moon has always been linked to dreams, for it rules the subconscious. To honor this, set aside nights around the full moon to practice lucid dreaming or dream recall. Place a journal by your bed, and upon waking, record your dreams before they slip away. Pay attention to recurring symbols. They may be the language of your soul, amplified by the moon's glow. You can also try simple dream rituals. Before sleep, gaze at the moon for a few minutes, breathing slowly, and ask it to illuminate your inner world. Over time, this can awaken deeper levels of dream consciousness. 4. Rituals of release and renewal. Because the moon embodies cycles of death and rebirth, rituals of release are especially powerful under its influence. During a waning moon, write down what you wish to let go of, fears, addictions, limiting beliefs, and safely burn or bury the paper, symbolizing their return to the void. Conversely, at the new moon, write down your intentions and place them under a candle or crystal. Each night, glance at them as the moon waxes, charging your goals with its growing light. These symbolic acts may seem simple, but they anchor your mind and spirit to universal rhythms. 5. Feminine healing practices. For women, aligning with the moon can deepen self-understanding. Notice how your cycle synchronizes with lunar phases. In ancient cultures, women would gather in circles during the new moon to share wisdom, heal, and reconnect. You can recreate this by joining or creating a moon circle, a gathering for meditation, storytelling, or collective intention setting. For men, the moon offers a path into their own hidden, intuitive, and receptive aspects. Working with lunar energy balances the overemphasis on logic and action, bringing sensitivity, empathy, and creativity. 6. Meditation with lunar symbols. Meditating on the moon's imagery is another powerful practice. Close your eyes and visualize the crescent, waxing, full, and waning phases. Reflect on which phase resonates with your current stage of life. Alternatively, meditate on the moon as a mirror of the sun, reminding yourself that you too are a vessel reflecting divine light. For a deeper practice, meditate outdoors under the moon itself. Sit quietly, breathe, and imagine its silver light entering your body, purifying and illuminating your inner world. Many mystics reported profound states of awareness in the moon's presence, as though it awakened a forgotten part of the soul. 7. Sacred balance with the sun. Do not forget the union of sun and moon. Practice balancing solar and lunar energies in your life. Spend the day in active, outward pursuits, work, study, exercise. At night, shift into receptivity, reflection, journaling, or meditation. This conscious balance mirrors the cosmic dance of day and night, leading to inner harmony. 8. Overcoming challenges. When working with lunar energy, some people experience emotional intensity, restlessness, mood swings, or vivid dreams. This is not a sign of danger, but of awakening. The key is grounding. Spend time in nature, walk barefoot on the earth, or practice deep breathing. Remember, the moon's power is not meant to overwhelm, but to reveal. By staying rooted, you can channel its influence constructively. 9. Practical benefits. These practices are not only mystical, they yield tangible results. By syncing with the moon, you may find greater clarity in decision-making, better timing in projects, and deeper emotional balance. Rituals of release can help break unhealthy patterns. Dream work may provide guidance or inspiration. And above all, living by lunar cycles reconnects you to nature's wisdom, reducing stress and restoring rhythm in a world dominated by artificial schedules. 10. The moon as a teacher of presence. Ultimately, the greatest gift of lunar practice is presence. To gaze at the moon is to pause, to breathe, to remember that you are part of a greater dance. Just as it waxes and wanes without fear, you too can learn to trust your cycles of energy, creativity, joy, and even sorrow. The moon teaches us that nothing is wasted, nothing is final, everything is part of a greater rhythm. The ancients worshipped the moon because they lived by its light and lessons. We need not worship it in the same way, but by aligning ourselves with its mysteries, we can awaken to a forgotten truth, that divinity is not far away, hidden in abstract heavens. It is shining above us every night, whispering lessons in silver light.
Look up at the night sky. The moon is there, watching silently, as it has for every generation that came before us. It has seen the rise and fall of empires, the birth of languages, the songs of ancient rituals, and the whispered prayers of countless seekers. It has guided travelers across deserts, sailors across oceans, and dreamers through the labyrinth of their own souls. It is not difficult to see why the ancients bowed to it, why they carved its crescent into temples, and why they spoke of it in hushed reverence. But what does it mean for us, here and now? We live in an age of constant artificial light, of neon screens and sleepless nights. The rhythms of the natural world are often drowned out by the demands of mechanical time. Yet the moon remains untouched. It continues its ancient dance across the heavens, waxing and waning, darkening and renewing, as if to remind us of truths we have forgotten. The moon teaches us impermanence, that every fullness gives way to emptiness, and every emptiness is pregnant with rebirth. It teaches us humility, that light is not always generated from within, but often reflected from a greater source. It teaches us balance, that shadow and radiance are not enemies, but partners in the cosmic dance. And it teaches us presence, that even in the darkest nights, there is always a light to guide us. The ancients saw divinity in the moon because they recognized these truths. They saw that the moon is not only above us, but within us. Our own lives follow its pattern: moments of growth, moments of fullness, moments of decline, and moments of hidden renewal. To ignore these rhythms is to live against the current of existence. To honor them is to live in harmony with the cosmos. So, perhaps the question is not why the moon was worshipped as divine, but why we stopped. Have we grown so distant from nature that we no longer see the sacred in the sky? Have we blinded ourselves with so much artificial light that we no longer recognize the gentle glow that has always been there? The moon still waits for us, not demanding worship, but inviting awareness. To look at it with reverence is to reconnect with something eternal. To live by its rhythm is to rediscover balance. To meditate beneath its glow is to awaken the parts of ourselves we have silenced. Tonight, when you see the moon, don't just glance at it as a familiar shape. Look deeper. See in it the goddess, the teacher, the cosmic mirror. Feel its presence as a reminder of the cycles that move within you. Ask yourself, what phase am I in? What am I ready to release? What am I ready to nurture? And what divine light am I reflecting into the world? The moon is still divine if we choose to see it. So I leave you with this invitation. The next time the moon shines upon you, pause, breathe. Feel its silver light upon your skin. Let it whisper its ancient secrets to your soul. And remember, you are part of its cycle,
just as it is part of yours. The ancients did not worship out of ignorance, but out of recognition. The moon was, and still is, a mirror of the eternal mystery. And perhaps, if we learn to see with their eyes once again, we will rediscover not only the divinity of the moon, but the divinity within ourselves. If this message resonates with you, let the moon be your teacher tonight. And if you wish to journey deeper into the mysteries of the cosmos, the soul, and the hidden wisdom of the ancients, join us. Subscribe to this channel, share your thoughts, and continue exploring with us, for the moon story is not finished. It is waiting for you to write your chapter within it.